Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this warm winter's day. In case you haven't had your coffee yet and you're not sure, this is the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks. And I am your lay leader, Gil Christenberry. And as always, just remind you to put your Zoom control into speaker view for your best viewing. So welcome. Welcome to this congregation where we have been seeking to foster community, to grow our spirits, to serve others, and to work for justice. And we've been doing it for over half a century now. We're very glad that you've joined us this morning in our sacred cyberspace, and hope that here you will experience love, acceptance, and hopefully some inspiration. After our service, please feel welcome to join us for fellowship and conversation. Our monthly Touchstones theme for the month of March is balance. Life depends on balance. It is the principle of yin and yang. Sometimes balance is easy, like being on a seesaw. At other times, when things are dangerously out of balance, it is a high wire act, especially when disease is rampant. Societal problems, which are sustained over generations, have created the imbalance of economic, political, gender, and racial power that manifest locally, nationally, and globally through financial inequity, racism, educational inequity, and much more. Our annual theme of Repairing the World works to address these many imbalances. Our sermon today is from one of our favorite guest speakers. He's been here many times. I'm sure you all remember Mark Bernstein. Mark is a member of the UU Church of Delaware County in media and has worked for the UUA in various capacities since 2006. He tries to maintain a balance in his life, but often falls simply because he is very clumsy. The title of his sermon today is Balancing the Egg. A sense of balance is required in order for us to remain upright and steady. This applies not only to our physical selves, but our spiritual selves as well. How do we maintain an equal balance between our secular and our UU lives so that one does not overwhelm the other and cause us to fall? We will find out. Now, let us enter into worship together. For our musical prelude, once again, it is my honor to introduce our amazing musician, Mr. Avi Wisnia.
Good morning. We start with a classic song that talks about life as a balance of all the things that life can throw at us and finding the way to enjoy all of it in stride. You've got to give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You've got to laugh a little, cry a little, until the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the group of us, we've got the world and its charms. And if the world gets through with us, we've got each other's arms. You've got to win a little, lose a little, and sometimes have the blues a little. That's the glory of, that's the story
Great way to start things off. Thank you, Avi. Our chalice sliding words this morning, and our lovely assistant will light the chalice. We light this chalice to celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to reaffirm the historic pledge of our religion to seek that justice which transcends mere legality and moves toward the resolution of true equality, and to share that love which is ultimately beyond even our cherished reason, that love which unites us. Our opening words this morning are from the author Sanderson. Somehow, we'll find it, the balance between whom we wish to be and whom we need to be. But for now, we simply have to be satisfied with who we are. Hope you enjoy this nice little message for all ages.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Beck Stow, and our message for all ages today is Balancing Act by Ellen Stoll Walsh. The mice made a teeter-totter. It was fun to balance. One mouse on each end. Ta-da! But then a salamander wanted a turn. Luckily, a friend stepped in to help. Perfect. Balance again. Uh-oh, a frog. Whoa. But then another frog. Ah, balance once more. Oh no, a bird wants to balance. Whoops, that's not going to work. Or maybe it will. Ta-da! But not for long. Too many balancers. Time for everyone to find something else to do. Except the mice. Ta-da!
Thank you, Bex. Life can be a real teeter-totter sometimes. It really is so nice to be balanced. For our musical interlude, Avi has chosen and will perform a classic by Joni Mitchell.
Rose and flows in angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, the clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, and now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really right out loud, dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way. Now old friends, they're acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, some things lost and some things gained, and living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusion. I recall, I really don't know why. I've looked at life from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's life's illusion. I recall, I really don't know life at all.
Thank you, Avi. That was really beautiful. It gives me extreme pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Mark Bernstein, for his reading.
Thank you, Gil. Hearing Avi's lovely rendition of Both Sides now reminds me that that is the theme music from a wonderful movie called Coda, which is available on Apple TV. If you have it, when this service is over, run, don't walk to your TV and watch it. It's a wonderful movie. This morning's reading is from Victoria Erickson. Half of me is filled with bursting words, and half of me is painfully shy. I crave solitude, yet also crave people. I want to pour life and love into everything, yet also nurture my self-care and go gently. I want to live within the rush of primal, intuitive decision, yet also wish to sit and contemplate. This is the messiness of life, that we all carry multitudes, so must sit with the shifts. We are complicated creatures, and ultimately, the balance comes from this understanding. The words of Victoria Erickson.
Thank you, Mark. I think we can all relate to those words. For our offertory this morning, the split plate collection for March will go to the fully vetted organization Save the Children. The war in the Ukraine has been devastating. Countless thousands of Ukraine's children are now suffering from physical harm, severe emotional distress, and mass displacement. Save the Children is concerned for children caught in the middle of armed conflict, forced from their homes in freezing temperatures and exposed to injury, hunger, and cold. Donations to Save the Children's Ukraine Crisis Relief Fund can help provide children and families with immediate aid, such as food, water, hygiene kits, psychosocial support, and cash assistance. Any donations will go toward protecting these children in crisis. Please be a part of this effort by contributing as generously as possible by using our link on our website or our e-newsletter. Thank you for your generosity. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Mark back for his sermon, Balancing the Egg.
Thank you, Gil. The human body is an amazing machine, isn't it? Take the simple act of walking across the room. How do we get from point A to point B without falling over, or getting lost and somehow winding up at point C, I guess. The process of maintaining our balance and positioning is a combination of complex sensory inputs and communication signals between our brain and various parts of our body. All of this is attributed to the vestibular system. And please study this because it will be on the quiz. The vestibular system is a sensory system that is responsible for providing our brain with information about motion, head position, and spatial orientation. It's also involved with motor functions that allow us to keep our balance, stabilize our head and body during movement, and maintain posture. Thus, the vestibular system, our now new best friend, is essential for normal movement and equilibrium. Ironically enough, the vestibular system is located in the inner ear in a region known as the Vestibular Labyrinth. Here's a picture. Just kidding. This is the Vestibular Labyrinth, which kind of looks like one of our labyrinths, doesn't it? Among the functions of the vestibular system is to ensure constant communication between the sensory signals from the feet, legs, and spine to the brain. These muscle signals are sent to the brain and then back down to make adjustments in our body that will keep us upright and stable. Amazing, isn't it? A second function of the vestibular system is to help us perceive which way we are spinning on a merry-go-round, which way we are tilting on a boat, and simply which way is up. These perceptions contribute to our sense of equilibrium, and they keep us safe from falling. I think I can unequivocally say, God bless the vestibular system. Maintaining a balance in our day-to-day lives, while not as technical perhaps, can be just as complicated, and particularly when it comes to maintaining a balance between our life as a member of our congregation and as a member of the rest of the world. For many, it's not a zero-sum game. If I devote too much time to my spiritual life, they believe, it means I have to sacrifice my secular life, and vice versa. Achieving a balance begins with the understanding that one doesn't mean sacrificing the other, that there is room for it all. Like our vestibular system, messages are sent to the brain. Only in this case, they come from our preferences and our experiences and our degree of commitment to a spiritual life. These messages determine how much we are drawn to life within our congregation versus our commitment to life outside it. Now, realistically, there are compelling forces that pull us away from congregational life. The luxury of not leaving the house on a Sunday morning, particularly when we have gotten pretty used to it over the past 2+ years. Family and work commitments that leave us little time for participation in congregational life. Or there may be reasons within the congregation itself that cause our spiritual life to be out of balance. Too much unresolved conflict, constant change, not enough change, not feeling a sense of belonging or a part of the community, feeling uninspired by sermons or services. For some Unitarian Universalists, it may be that the lure of religion is not strong enough. In 2014, the Pew Research Center conducted what they called the U.S. Religious Landscape Study, a national survey that examined characteristics of several major and minor religions, including Unitarian Universalism. Here are just some of their findings. More than 1/3 of those UUs who were surveyed indicated that religion was not too important or not at all important in their lives. More than 1/3. Only about 1/4 reported that they attend religious services at least once a week. The rest attended fewer times than that. Almost half seldom or never pray, and 3/4 of Unitarian Universalists surveyed seldom or never participate in religious education groups. No wonder so many Unitarian Universalists are out of balance. If these statistics are still relevant 8 years later, and I have every confidence that they are, how do we help those who are out of balance regain equilibrium? How do we make congregational life more palatable, more compelling, more important in one's life, particularly during this time when you are and many other congregations are still meeting virtually? We start by helping congregants to find their center of gravity. In the physical world, our center of gravity is right around our belly button region, just below our belly buttons. It's the balance point of the body at rest. But the center of gravity needs to be supported. That support is the area that the center of gravity is resting on and supported by. So if you're standing, for example, it's your feet that are supporting you. If you're walking, it's the ankles or the hips that support us and keep us upright. Maintaining our balance then is as simple as keeping our center of gravity over our base of support. You want to know the key to balancing on a tightrope? For those who might want to give it a try one day, lower the body's center of gravity toward the wire. This brings a person's center of gravity closer to the wire while allowing them to keep their bearings. You're welcome. As it relates to our congregational life, our center of gravity, our balance point, the core of our being, the way in which we keep our bearings is, I believe, our personal mission statement. The reason we became Unitarian Universalists and the tie that binds us to our congregation. Stephen Covey wrote, "Your mission statement becomes your constitution, the solid expression of your vision and values. It allows you to connect with your own unique purpose and the profound satisfaction that comes from fulfilling it." So discover your personal mission statement, because without it, without that center of gravity, we lose our balance, we stumble, we lose our way. But just as in the physical world, our center of gravity needs a base of support strong enough to support us. And where does this support come from? It comes from the relationships that we have created, from the friends we have made, the spiritual awakening that we have experienced, the inspiration and hope that we have received through participation in congregational life. All of these are the feet, the ankle, the hips that keep us upright, that keep us balanced. These are the things that help us to maintain a balance between our spiritual and secular lives. And once we have achieved a balance, we need to maintain it. As Brad Manor, instructor in medicine at Harvard Medical School, wrote, balance cannot be taken for granted past a certain age. Boy, do I know that. It must be maintained. In the physical world, we engage in physical fitness and targeted exercises to improve our balance and prevent falling as we age. Similarly, in our congregational world, we need to exercise and stimulate the mind and the heart through continual examination, reflection, and discussion of issues that challenge us to live better, to be better. And if we do lose our balance and stumble, in the physical world, recovering and remaining upright requires muscle power, the ability to exert force in the opposite direction quickly. So too, in our congregational lives, if we lose our balance and begin to stumble, we need to display what I call our spiritual power, to exert force in the opposite direction. We get that power by reminding ourselves of why we became Unitarian Universalists in the first place. We need to call on our personal mission statement, our center of gravity, and we need to rely on other members of the congregation to call us back. Look, maintaining this spiritual secular balance is not easy. It requires a belief that it can be done and a commitment to making it happen. It's kind of like balancing the egg. Legend has it that on the spring equinox, which this year is March 20th, only 2 weeks away, so hang in there, you can balance an egg in an upright position thanks to the Earth's position relative to the sun. I'm sure you've all heard this before. The idea that an egg could balance on this day comes from the thought that since the sun and the moon are equidistant from the Earth, the pull of gravity is equalized, and therefore an egg is less likely to fall over. This is simply not true, writes Harry Keller, a leading expert on egg balancing. He writes, even were there such a solar influence, it would only work in one place at a time, and that place would be moving at a speed on the surface of the Earth of about 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. You would not have time to balance your egg. Okay, Harry, I'll take your word for it. The point is that balancing an egg only on the equinox is not true. Standing an egg on its end is something just about anyone can do any day of the year. It's not magic. The feat just requires the right egg, a proper foundation, a little practice, attention to detail, and a whole lot of patience. Balancing an egg is not always easy, but it can occur anytime. Adding greater balance to our lives may not always be simple either. Things may come forward to demand our attention, perhaps making it seem easier to put our attempts at balance aside for another time. But the rewards we receive from a healthy spiritual secular balance make the effort well worth it. Tom Van Gelder wrote, "We use our sense of balance to orient ourselves in the world. Keeping our spiritual life alive and balancing it with the demands of our day-to-day existence helps us to stay oriented, to stay grounded, to offer a greater perspective on what is important in our lives, both within and outside the walls of our congregation. So stay balanced and pass me one of those eggs." Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mark. as always, you have achieved the three I's of a good sermon. It was interesting, it was informative, and it was inspirational. So thank you. Now is the time in our service when we recognize and lift up one another in love. Let us be fully present and listen with open hearts and open minds. If you wish to share a joy or a sorrow, please click on your Zoom reactions and then click raise hand, and we will help you to unmute. For everyone's benefit, please be brief.
Nancy Harvin.
Nancy Harvin.
Morning, everyone. Mark, I loved what you had to say, and I feel like actually I'm going to have to work on that balance because as of Wednesday was my first day of retirement. And as much as that's a fantastic thing, I feel I'm a bit unbalanced because when you have work, then you have play, and then you have your home life, and everything is just, you've made it that way, you've created this great thing. And then this big chunk, it's, and mind you, I opted for this, but I'm still trying to learn that balance. So thank you. It was very nice today.
Thank you, Nancy. Mazel tov on your retirement.
Yes, congratulations. Oh, don't see anyone else who would like to share.
Oh, Joanna. Sorry, hang on. There you go.
All right, Joanne.
Hi, everybody. So I have a joy. A large group of children at Penwood Middle School have been working really hard to put on a production of Anything Goes, a classic musical. And next weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they're going to be putting on their show. Braden is in it, and if anyone's interested, they can reach out to me and I can give them information on tickets. The kids have been working really hard, and the joy that they've been expressing is just amazing. So I'm just really proud of them, and I'm looking forward to seeing their work come to fruition.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So hopefully that'll work out well. Alrighty then. Well, whether you shared something today or it stayed in your heart, for your joys, we in this community join you in celebration. And for any sorrows or concerns, may you feel our sympathy and our compassion. Let's pause for just a moment of gratitude, silent meditation, and prayer. For our closing song today, Avi has chosen one of our favorite hymns.
Please join me in singing our closing hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. We'll sing all 4 verses and then come back around to the first. Join with me. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I am gonna keep on till I find it.
Thank you, Avi. Beautiful song. I think we should dedicate that to the upwards of 1 million refugees that are fleeing the war in the Ukraine. Please feel free to join me as I read our closing words. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of us. Carry that flame with you as you leave this cyberspace, and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. So our service is concluded now. Please feel free to stick around for our very informal coffee hour. And you can now unmute yourself